I'd like to begin our dialogue on colorism by reading an excerpt from actress Tatiana Ali in 2014. Colorism doesn't just exist in Hollywood. I think it exists in society, and to be quite honest, I don't know how much it exists in the larger society, but it definitely exists in the Black community. There are obvious historical reasons for that. The closer we were to white, the more freedom we thought we could have, or the more acceptability. Beauty was defined as white, and the farther away you get from that white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed definition of beauty, the uglier you are. The closer you get to it, the more beautiful you are, and that's what we've been doing amongst ourselves for a very long time. You know what? Tatiana was absolutely correct in her statement. Colorism has haunted us for over 400 years. I don't think any of us can deny that. The goal of our dialogue on this topic is to help expedite our permanent emancipation from this emotionally debilitating and life-altering deadbeat mindset. We encourage you to listen in and become a proactive part of helping to extract this inhumane false belief that leads to both conscious and subconscious behavior. That, in turn, limits access to positive growth for us all, regardless of color, complexion, culture, and socioeconomic status, thus perpetuating the continuation of the overall substandard quality of life far too many members of the human family perpetuate, experience, and fall victim to. So sit back, listen in, share your thoughts in our chat room, and be a part of this transformation. I guarantee you'll be very glad that you did. But now, everyone have a great day and embrace our dialogue fully so that you can become a part of the solution rather than a continued part of the problem.
Yeah, we on the sistership. Come with us, we on the sistership. Yeah, we on the sistership. Roll with us, we on the sistership. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership. We got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership. We got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership. We got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You go with me and I'll go with y'all. We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You go with me and I'll go with y'all. Substance, oh, sis, you know we on a mission, no games. Help each other get over some things. Real strength bring change. Cause we've been through the rain. Now it's time to shine like blaze. Let's talk about life skills. We building up our quality to right wills. We rolling out of poverty.
Rayshawn.
We become the prodigy of how a sistership could be a really hot commodity. Stand together, we united, hold hands, support each other's dreams and our plans, doing everything we can. Come on, just to show we understand the power of a friendship. Fam, live life on purpose. Together we learn. We don't want to see you hurt, and we here for each other, no matter the color. Networking, that's for sure and for certain. Yeah, we on the sistership. Come with us, we on the sistership. Yeah, we on the sistership. Roll with us, we on the sistership. We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You go with me and I'll go with you. We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You go with me and I'll go with you. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
We on the sistership.
Woo! Hey! Oh, we on the sistership.
and we got a little bit of a brothership tonight.
Hello.
To my sisters.
Hey.
Amen. And oh yes, please, Mama C, show your mug. We're on a sistership. Please come to our page. We have merch. We have things that you can create. We have amazing substance who makes t-shirts. We are so just multicultural and multifaceted in all the things that we do. Today, part 2. Highly, y'all wanted it, and we're bringing it to you. Part 2 of our show on colorism. And today we got, I can't, whenever I'm with these 2 women, I just sit back and be the fan that I am of the show. So we got Mama C and Lady Wisdom. So, come on. I'm going to, I like to talk, but I think I'm going to have to be quiet because, like I said, I'm a fan. I'm a fan first. We got Bling is in the house, Tiffany Co. And we have Rayshawn, who is a fan favorite of the show. We got so many comments about our first show on colorism. So there was no way we could do part 2 without bringing back a star, Rayshawn. And we tend to like to have the same names, like there's 2 Tiffs, you know what I mean? And then we got Bling, the Sapphire when she comes in. We got Wisdom and the Oracle. So now we have Rayshawn and my Sean. Okay, so we always like to play with the names a little bit. Sean Juan the Dawn. No, he's not. He's mine. He's mine, ladies. He's mine.
What's that?
And this
Look, he about to get rolled right out of there. He better stop playing.
And
Lady U-Haul. You gave her name on the last colorism. Lady U-Haul.
Yes, Lady U-Haul. Lady U-Haul. And we also, again, we'll be having the brothership coming real soon. So we wanted to kind of bring some brothers in to ship with us today. One of the things with colorism, I found it really great that we would bring Sean in because, hey, we've all been through it, as you can see. Beige is the rage, and my mocha man. And you might, again, there's a lot of challenges that we have been dealing with colorism within our race, within our people, as well as how it affects those outside of our culture and our race. So we really wanted to chat about a lot of different things. And Mama C was amazing, being very proactive, because there are a lot of actual general questions in reference to colorism. So for everybody that wasn't able to come in and chime with us for part 1, colorism is just basically us dealing with within the Black race, within the race of people of color, the shades of color, and how within our collective, there's actually prejudice within our own race of colorism, starting from, again, our lighter sisters going closer to our sisters and brothers and going into our deeper and darker hues. So we wanted to chat about that because we really want to work on us so that we can work on each other, and then that way we can grow and bring love to everyone. So Mama C, I know you brought some questions and some, different ways that we can really help us as well as help others. So how would, which ones would you like to start with?
Well, I think that we need to understand where this term colorism came from, and understand that, as you said, that the word itself is one that is widely used, and not just used, but actually used as a weapon against each other.
Ooh, no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
That's what I say too, girl. You know what? I've never bought into it, but I've always felt it. And for most of my years, I have ignored people, but it definitely has had an impact on me because I could never understand. I understand the cause, I understand where it came from, but I can't understand why, after more than 400 years of being free, quote unquote, we are still battling against each other based on the complexion of our skins, because in the African American population, we go from white to dark. And let's face it, a lot of that had nothing to do with us. We did not create this circumstance. Slavery did. And they pitted us against each other, light skin against dark skin. And, because there was a general feeling that if you were light, bright, and damn near white, you were more beautiful. But if you were darker than a brown paper bag, you were not considered to be as beautiful as someone light skinned. And I'm light skinned, but I never understood that because I always came from a place of humanism. Okay.
Let's talk about human. Let's talk about the word hue.
Yeah.
The definition of hue is the array of color. That's what hues are. So then you're adding man to color.
Right.
Colorism within the Black community has been a serious emotional and psychological battle.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I want us to take a second, and I want to take it biblical. I don't know scripture. I don't never try to pretend, so I'm not going to do a scripture. But what I am going to say is Garden of Eden. If you are in the belief system of Adams, Eve, evolution, Eve, the mother and father of all, the Garden of Eden had every tropical fruit, plant, every mineral, every diamond, all the oils, all the animals, the giraffes, the lions, and all of these different lives and energies and frequencies. Now, I will say this to say, in that being, where could that have possibly been? Just think about the world as it is today. Where on the world can everything like that exist? And you would be very smart to say in a very tropical environment, okay, tropical. And people that are indigenous to the tropics have some type of skin that can protect them from sun, which is usually a darker hue. So I want to share that with our listeners, that we all come from, if you want to believe in that, if that's what your belief is, and a lot of people, that's what their belief is. So if that's what your belief is, you want to hide something, put it in the book. In the Bible, it does dictate and state where the Garden of Eden, if you look at the longitudes and the latitudes, I'm a real estate person, so I'm playing with the land right now because that's what I know. If you want to go against where the land is, that would be considered in Pangea area of the African area of Pangea, where Africa would be now. So I'm just saying to our listeners, in reference to that, start, if Mama C said humans, start loving the man, the woman. And if you're going to be honoring the Bible and scripture, if you have something against those of color, hues, you are starting with Genesis. And now if you have a problem with Genesis, you have a problem with the first book of the Bible. So I just want to put that out there. We got Lady U-Haul is in the house. How are you, Lady U-Haul?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We are wonderful. We are wonderful. I know that when we left off in Colorism Part 1, you had shared, and I first of all, thank you, because Sherry brought you to our table. So, Lady Wisdom, she gonna find the wise ones. And, because she's always going to be around that frequency. So I want to thank her so much for having her introduce you to me and to us. But I know when we left off, you were sharing about how you had grown up in a specific type of way where your family, you had some struggles within your family. And when we got off that last show, for those who wasn't here, Part 1, She said, Lady U-Haul said, and that's because she owns a U-Haul, y'all. So I just want you to know why we calling her that. Y'all got to check her out in the East Stroudsburg area of Pennsylvania. We got a brown-owned female moving company. So we got to check that out. Let me just call that out there. But you shared that you were going to be chatting with your sister and your family in reference to some challenges that y'all had growing up. So come on and bring it to us, because I was crying last week. Don't mess me up. That's why I got shades on me.
From the last conversation that we had, like I said in the last conversation, I think I was saying that my sister is really light, and we never even talked about like how she felt that the rest of us were dark and she was the lightest one. And I never even thought about asking her that question until we had the show when we were talking about it. And I actually talked to my sister after the show, and my sister said that she always wanted to be dark like us, that she never felt comfortable in her skin because she was always the lightest one, and she couldn't stand it. And that was amazing, because I never even thought to have that conversation with her, because she's my sister, you know? I never even thought that she would feel away or anything. Absolutely never thought about it. And on top of it, she also said that because she felt like that, she wanted to have kids by a darker guy, so the kids would be darker like the rest of her family. And I was just like, wow. I never would have had the conversation with my sister if I wasn't on the show. Absolutely not.
Amen.
And that was just amazing to me that she even felt like that. And I apologize because we never even talked about that. So she was carrying something around since she was little, and really didn't even tell anybody she was feeling a kind of way at all. And nobody ever thought to even ask her anything, you know? And that was just amazing to me that that's how she felt. And never talked about it.
Well, you know, I think if you go back a number of years, we weren't even acknowledging it. So talking about it was absolutely a difficult thing to do. And I think that as we have evolved to higher levels of understanding, we know that in order to heal from these situations that have negatively impacted on us individually and collectively as a population of people, would never have taken place. It's only now that we are starting to feel comfortable in our own skin and recognize that other people's issues are their issues, and we can either get caught in their web of issues, or we can say, I'm not going to allow this to negatively impact on who I am and how I respond to other people, regardless to what complexion they are, their socioeconomic status, their culture, and all that. And that's how I've lived my life. I never judged people based on their complexion. I thought that was one of the most stupid things I've ever experienced. But I decided I was not going to be a part of that. And I have never been a part of that. I love people. I just love people. And I know, however, to stay away from people who are too toxic and caught up in their own web of iniquity and pain, to address those issues that will help them to begin healing. So I think it's an individual process and journey that we must make a decision to live by. I live by the fact that I love people, that love is our natural nature, and I love people. I just have learned over the last maybe 20 years just to stay away from people. Now, not even 20, maybe the last 10 years, to stay away from people who are too toxic, who are literally falling victim to their own belief system and the conditioning that has brought them to that belief system.
Well, our problem in my family is, that's another thing that we realized. Like I said, me and my sister have been we've talked so much since our conversation, because another thing that we realized, on top of how she was feeling, we also figured out that we have somebody in our family who's been pitting the light skins against the dark skins in our family.
Come on, girl.
So
and that's where it starts.
that was so amazing. That was so amazing to realize, because when we realized and we targeted who the person was, now when we have a conversation with that person, instead of engaging that person, me and my sister actually pick up the phone and call each other. And I'm like, did you just talk to so-and-so? She's like, yep, I did. What did they say? They tried to have us arguing, right? And that's crazy, because it's been happening our whole entire lives, but we did not realize it until this show, like until I was on this show. Like the change. First of all, just being on this show is now going to change some generational curses in my family. I can honestly say that, okay? Because now I have light-skinned nieces. We got all shades in our family, and we're going to make this a conversation between all of us, the kids, everybody. When we're able to get back together, we're going to talk about it with everybody, because now we could target it from the younger ones and change how they think and believe and feel and everything. Like, so this was a blessing for my family. I am so happy that I was invited to this show, because it started, me and my sister started it, and we just going to continue it throughout the rest of our family. So this was amazing for us.
In love right now.
Amen and hallelujah.
I'm in love. Not just because I have all this fabulous next to me that I'm in love. I am in love.
Yeah.
And I want to, and Lady Wisdom, because we kind of grew up in a very similar environment. Mm-hmm. Was your complexion ever questioned, like what Mama C was saying, as far as being light and people that judge you based on this shell? Had you experienced something based on the shell growing up that you would say that, hey, that wasn't right, or that I had to shift?
I don't think I got preferential treatment. Something that Mama C has said, she said that we were raised to believe that light skin was better. I don't think everybody was raised that way.
Right.
I think that light skin kept us more near the slave owners kept their light skin, because that was their part of them truth. The true part of them, when they saw these light skinned babies that they were creating, they kept them near them. So that's how they ended up being called they became house slaves, because they knew where they came from. But me personally, as I was growing up, I have always been lighter than the average person. I work in the office with Caucasians, and I am lighter than every single one of them. So I actually have embraced my gray hair, my wisdom highlights. And in the process of it, if I let my hair down and I put on my glasses and I go to work, you can't actually tell what I am. I've heard negative things. I have had dark-skinned people come into the office and call me mulatto.
Yeah.
They've called one of the clients that was describing me because they wanted me to do some work for them. And in the process of requesting me, they said the one, she thinks she's black, but she's actually white.
She thinks she's black.
Wow.
That borderlines.
I've had my
borderlines. What are you? I'm just kind of borderlines in that.
Well, I wasn't there, so when they were describing me, I've heard my brothers had to protect me because of my light skin in the areas we grew up in, certain areas. And there was a point when we were living in Brooklyn and I had to be protected because I was so light. My hair was down my back. I was a kid. I knew nothing different. And I have people tell me now that if I don't open my mouth, you don't know that I have any kind of black in me if I keep my mouth shut. But nevertheless, colorism is huge. It's a huge part of each of our lives. I've had my daughters have to argue to tell people that I wasn't white. The people insist that no matter what they were told, no matter what my daughters told them, that I was white. My ex-husband is probably about Tiffany's complexion. And
Which Tiffany?
Which Tiff? Tiff Co or Tiff Ro?
Tiff Co.
Okay.
But each of my kids are probably about Tiff Ro's complexion, if not lighter. I mean, it was dominant. You know, like you ask your parents where you come from, right? Is that the biggest question that we have to ask ourselves? No.
Wow, yeah.
You know, like, how do I tell somebody what I am? How do I tell somebody other than I'm human? I'm a person, all the same. I can't deny one side of me versus another side of me, because at that point I'm denying me.
So, question, and I want to bring the brother in, but for sake of sake, was both of your parents black, or was a light or black, or was one white, one black?
They both mixed.
Okay.
My mom is English, or was English, God rest her soul. My mother and my father passed. But my mother was born in England, and her dad is probably the color of Sean's shirt, or was the color of Sean's shirt.
So she liked chocolate too, huh?
That was her grandfather. That was her dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was her dad. Her mom was actually a white woman, an English woman. Nevertheless, without him, there would be no her. Without her, there would be no me. I did one of those ancestry tests to see what I am, and it made me stronger in my belief that I can't deny who I am.
Absolutely.
Without denying one part of me. Or
Right.
the other part of me.
And part of that too, I would say, is at a difference in maybe some of the journeys of the different shades of Black people. Your parents who were biracial, there was love in the biracial relationship that created the next generation, and some
Absolutely.
have that biracial DNA not rooted in love. So by force, bodies taken by force.
Right.
So, and the thing is, that's what's beauty and the curse, is that you might see Lady Wisdom, you may see TiffanieRo, you may see Mama C, and you're like, okay, here's, like I said, beige is the rage. I always say, because I gotta lift myself up. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm always about empowering.
It's up to us, Tiff, to uplift ourselves.
But you might think all of our story is the same on how we became this or whatever. It's not. And so what we bring, and like nobody is the same. And that's the thing for us as brown people, to always group a look to say, this is why this person, everybody that looks like this is their journey. They're so lucky. And everyone that looks like this is their journey. Oh, what is their challenge? And that's not the case. Because like I said, when I grew up, for me, looking this way I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel like this was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I had issues. And the bad, for me, the bad thing is my mother's lighter than me. So she didn't even have like that makeup that I could kind of mess around with and make it look more darker, because her makeup was like that CoverGirl nude. So I couldn't even like pretend, because I would have, because I shared in Colorism 1, I did have girls tell me, you need to put peanut butter on your face, But I say all that to say, God is good and merciful. And we have to go through whatever our struggles are as a group. And I just want us to love, and as Mama C was saying, just love up on each other as a full circle of frequency and energy and creativeness and all that coming together. However, that being said, I have Sean B. Come on up. Are you good?
Yeah.
And just want to share with you. So, you know, and he's from South Jamaica, Queens as well, but he had both parents. So, you know, it's a different situation when you have both parents. He had both parents. So, nice. I laugh about that. But that being said, did you ever experience colorism?
I have, but never paid attention to it because I was too busy. I was too busy being a creative. So I mean,
Right.
for me, you know, coming up, I was called Blackie, Blackstone, but I always embraced the negative talk and change it to a positive. So again, I feel like everyone has a different story depending on their surroundings or how they grew up. So if you grew up around, like you said, around dark people and you was a light person, yeah, you're gonna feel the odd one out, and vice versa. But we all was subject to, you know, the oppressor.
Right.
So we
Right.
all,
Absolutely.
we all felt a certain way depending on, you know, whatever we was light skinned, or if we was darker than that, you felt something.
Right.
But to answer your question, Tiff, I was always about me and how I felt from a creative standpoint. So I always edged it out.
So would you say you had enough confidence in your skills, in who you was as Sean, to overcome like the silly things that were coming at you, so it kind of bounced off you didn't absorb it?
Yeah, innately. I mean, of course, you really didn't know, but looking back now, it was mundane to me to take something that you were not anyway, and give that a reflection. That was pretty much mundane. Okay, Blackie, black. Okay, fine. But I'm gonna crack a joke and make you laugh, and then you're gonna be my friend anyway. So that's not even gonna matter for what you see. You probably don't understand what you see, but then once you start to understand me, that's not gonna matter anyway.
It's not going to show up.
And that's what usually happened. The light skinned girl. Remember the light skinned girl, like the light skinned dude with the nice hair. Like what that
see, no, you already messing up.
No,
the nice hair. The nice hair. The nice hair.
Listen, that's what they would say.
Yeah, it's true.
With good hair.
It is.
He has nice light eyes or whatever.
But all light skin, let's be clear. I'm a light skinned female. All light skinned females didn't go for the light skinned brother.
No.
I'm saying, in the light eye.
I understand what he meant.
I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying, but there was a fad at the time.
Yes.
Well, light skinned brothers had to have their time in, just like.
I'm not debating that. You know, but I'm just saying there was always this fad, and when that came in, okay, I never paid attention to it because honestly, that light skin or any type of girl, I'm not even going to say a light skin girl. I'm going to say any girl.
What you going to say about any girl?
Babe, let me finish.
Okay.
Girl.
Any girl that was into that trend, I never paid attention to it because once they got to know me, it didn't matter. And that's how I thought. Okay, she don't know, but I'm gonna make her know, and after she know, I'm good.
You know what? I want to go back to something that Sherry and Tiffany Ro was saying. I think that it's important for us all to realize that this shell is keeping us grounded. We are spirit, okay? But then you also have to ask yourself, what kind of spirit are you? Are you reflecting the spirit of God? Are you reflecting an evil spirit? Whatever, it could be any kind of spirit of jealousy, spirit of hatred, spirit of whatever. So we have to recognize that these bodies are keeping us grounded, because if we didn't have these bodies, we'd be nothing but energy bouncing around in the universe. It's a blessing, no matter what complexion we are, what culture we are, what socioeconomic status we're at. It's a blessing to have these bodies. Now, to take the issue of colorism and pit that against one another, that's insanity. That is insanity. Okay. And we need to recognize that, you know what, these different bodies give us an identity. So do we use that identity to cause harm to one another, to something that is not true with respect to the content with of who we are and what our purpose here on this planet is? We, again, and I will say this over and over again, our natural nature is love. And the more we are able to love ourselves, we're also able to love one another. And that's so important, because if everybody would get that and everybody would revert back to their natural nature, love, the issue of colorism wouldn't even exist.
See, you say that from a Queen Age's point of view.
Well, first of all, let me share this. When Mama C closes her eyes, she has an out of body experience. Just so y'all know that. So
right.
But go back, Sherry. Go back, Sherry.
I'm saying it from a Queen Age's point of view. So we are all parents that are on this panel. It starts with us at home, right? So we can't teach what we don't know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And at what point do we get to say to somebody, well, you gotta learn how to heal? If you have someone feeding negativity, my mother's children consist of mixed hues. My mom had 9 of us. Wow. And we are all different hues. We go from the darkest dark to the lightest light. But at the same time, it was those that surrounded us, those that grew up around us, that made us feel some kind of way. So here's my question. How do we change? Because we can't change what we don't acknowledge. Now that we're acknowledging it, how are we helping our children get to the next level or the next place?
That's why I said that once me and my family, because when we do get together, we all get together. And that's why I said the conversation that me and my sister had, we're going to figure out how to have it with the younger ones too, because we got all shades in our family and we don't know if the little ones are feeling how we feel or have heard us have conversations, you know what I mean, that we didn't know they overheard. So we're going to talk to them too, because we want all of them to feel comfortable in their skin, no matter what color they are. So the only way to do it is to talk about it. You got to talk about it.
Colorism 3 should be the children. Colorism 3, we put out there. Colorism 3, we should bring young people on, because Lady Wisdom said it, and Mama C. Reality is, here we are, women of a special age, a certain age. Beautiful wisdom is here. All of us have some miles, and so we're coming from a space. And Lady, you all, this epiphany happened at a wisdom phase.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
You know. And so we want to bring, I definitely, let's put it out there. Maybe, hey, listeners, we can't take everyone's child, but if you have somebody that you feel should be on this show, we can bring them on. We maybe will do something and see how many people and bring them on, because we are women of healing. We are women of love. We don't always get it right. And you're not going to agree with everything that comes out of each one of our mouths. And trust me when I tell you, even if it's not coming out right, it's not coming from malice. It's just coming from our walk at that particular time. I have shifted in some thoughts based on being a part of the sistership, being around this love, because some of us came, a lot more broken than others. I'm gonna say me. I don't want to talk about anybody else. I came real broken. So a lot of healing took place just from being a part of this womanhood and mothering and sisters. And sometimes Lady Wisdom is my sister, sometimes she's my auntie, sometimes she's my cousin. It just depends on what the role needs to be at that time. So we want to maybe bring somebody's child, maybe a couple of kids on that are going through something, and maybe we can hear what their journey is at that point.
You know what, Tiffany? I think that's a
Mama C, hold on one second. To Tiffany's point, the sistership, because now if you notice, we changed it to the Sistanship Network, because we can no longer say the sistership, because now we have the brothership coming on, and their first show airs in May. With that being said, what Tiffany said about the children, we realized that we needed to come from their perspective as well, because we have our queenagers, we have our brothership, and then we have the teens that we need to bring in, and we can't always speak for them, and we won't see what's going on with their world until we bring them in. With that being said, there's a lot we're working on, but we do have a teen group that will be coming on. We're not sure what their names are going to be. They're coming out of North Carolina and New York. They're actually being, not prepped, because we don't want this to be something that's unrealistic, but teaching them how to do a Zoom talk show, a Zoom live, or even be in the station. Some of them just want to get the experience of doing it. So we have someone who I grew up with, who is a teacher, who also has a girl group that they are working on this. So the girls are coming out of New York and North Carolina. And also, we would like to have some males in there as well, but this is what we're starting with. So with that being said, we would love to maybe have some of the teens, even Rayshawn, I know you have some daughters too, maybe that we're trying to find a way to integrate them into to the whole fold, so that we can get the whole picture here of what it is to be one network, one unity, working together just to go forward with whatever we do.
And stop generational curses, and stop generational challenges, and this confusion and chaos.
That stifles the creative energy. We are creators, but the question I always ask is, what are you creating? And you got to be very clear about. And before I go any further, I want to throw a question out to my daughter, because as a single mom, and she and I really growing together, I was growing, because no matter what, we're always growing. I want to ask her, how did the complexion issue impact on her life? Because I'm lighter skinned, and people used to ask her, what is your mother? Is she Spanish? Is it, so how did you feel about the different complexions between the two of us? And how did you handle it when people came to you and asked you questions about it?
I think we talked about that on the first show, but it really didn't bother me. I didn't realize it, that I was asking you how come you were white, was because of the questions that were being thrown at me when I was younger about you, not even realizing or understanding what colorism was at that particular point, and not even mental note. I'm young then, thinking, okay, well, how come everybody's asking me if my mother's Spanish? Is she white? Is she, Puerto Rican? I got all of that, but Black. And I didn't really, now I know, but coming up, I didn't realize that, because it's like, okay, no, my mother, at that point I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. So I was like, yeah, whatever, my mother what? And that's just how we dealt with it. Until you said that I came to you one day and asked why you were white. And that's when I realized, instead, well, I probably came to you because of all the questions that I was getting and thrown at me about your complexion, that made me think about that. But as me growing up, it didn't bother me. I knew about racism, and but the color thing didn't bother me. My best friend happened to be on the dark side, you know. And we called it, like I said on the first show, we called it sexy chocolate. We were all hues, so it really didn't hit us. We knew about the colorism thing, but we didn't play into that like that. Yeah.
Well,
And I think that that's important, that we teach our children and our grandchildren and great grands as we evolve, to recognize that colorism is somebody else's issue. It doesn't have to be yours. Because I think a lot of times things are thrown at our children and at us to distract us from our greatness. And when we allow people to distract us from our greatness, then we get caught up in this web or this black hole of iniquity that stifles our growth and our progress into the place and space where God created us to be. So I think we got to be very careful and be very clear with our children that they don't have to buy into other people's craziness. That's their craziness. Let them have it. You go on and grow forward to become the dynamic human beings you were created and blessed to be.
Amen. Amen.
You know what I think? It didn't bother me so much, but when I saw it done to someone else, that's when it bothered me, and I would always jump into it. So, and this was with any situation. It could be, you know, a domestic violence situation, or just if I saw it being done to someone else and I knew it was incorrect because I was taught differently, I was always the one to jump in it and say, "Oh no, we're not doing that," or "No, this is what it is," and go for it. But I've never been attacked about color.
Can I
From
ask a
anybody.
question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
On the last show, I was trying to get my beautiful Mocha sisters to give us a something that was showed to them. People have always been under the impression that the lighter we are, and not all, but some people have been under the impression that because you're light, you were treated different. But they showed us that on television, video vixens. In the videos, when they were doing it, you would see the light skinned girl with the long hair, even in Coming to America, right? Vanessa Bell Calloway wanted to play the part of that Sherry Hadley had, but they gave it to her based on whatever the preference was of that director in that scene, but it seemed to be the light skinned one. I, as Tiffany has said, growing up, I was always told how beautiful I am, but I personally didn't feel it, and I didn't portray it like I was better than anybody. I think I asked before, in the process of us talking about colorism, what is it that you ladies could tell us or teach us? Sean, I asked you the same thing because I had a darker brother tell me some negative things. He said some negative things, and he and his family were calling me color struck. I didn't like him, but to him, I was color struck because I didn't like him.
Woo!
He never thought about it being his personality. He never thought about it that, you know, like, I just wasn't interested. I was color struck because of that. So I asked this question because I didn't get to answer before. And I'm talking for the silent audience that may have the question. What is it that you all have been told, taught, or felt, or misunderstood, preconceived notions about the lighter hue, and how has that affected you growing up and those that are around you? Any of y'all could jump in with something.
I'll let Sean share, but I want to say I posted it on Facebook. I used to be a real estate salesperson. I'm now the broker and president of Bayroll Real Estate. Cheap plug, yes. serving New York and Pennsylvania. However, prior to that, I worked for a corporate company in real estate, a name that people had heard of. And based on my sales, and I had been awarded, you could probably, I don't know if you see them, but President Ambassador Awards for the company. And because of my accolades, I was asked to be part of the Parade of Stars within the national company. And all the parading of star people came out. And they were going to watch us as amazing real estate professionals in the 50 states. And we were just the best and the creme de la creme. And I was so excited to be part of that catalog of people. And yes, I did really well. And I'm in the Poconos doing this, where the median sale is, not like New York, but I'm number 8 national. And I mean, I'm just doing all these great things. So I'm in the vestibule at this event that is, again, national. And I looked around, and I had on glasses, thank goodness. I looked around at all of the people that had received the 2 top awards, which was presidential and ambassadors, the only people allowed to do this parade. And I was the only brown person in the vestibule for the entire nation. And when I tell you tears, the first thing, tears just fell from my eyes. And I had shared it on Facebook. And what came to my mind was those teachers, because I grew up in a predominantly Black environment, but the teachers were not predominantly Black. And I remember the teachers telling me very negative things about what I can't do, what I'm not going to be. And I should become this, and I should think about doing this as a career versus this as a career. And I was taken in by saying, Dad, how many other brown children were told they can't be somebody? And right in that moment, just 2 things happened. In that moment, I felt like, I'm going to show them. And then I was so angry, I blew out my hair. I was like, why I didn't wear my hair big and curly and my afro? So they know there's a Black chick walking in this parade. Because sometimes people like to get it confused to make themselves feel better about themselves. There was a chocolate woman walking around as a nationally awarded real estate professional in the entire United States of America. So I say that to say, I want us to know and be proud of whatever the hue is. Mm-hmm. Walk in it. We on their shoulders we stand. On their shoulders we stand. Yes, babe.
She asked a question.
Yeah.
I want you to get to her. What was your question?
My question was basically, can you all, we already know people have preconceived notions about light skin. Was there things that those that are darker shades than us, different hues, because every single person on here is a different hue. But the darker skinned people, because I need y'all to teach me something that I may have misunderstood, or I may have felt because of the way I might have been treated. Like I said, the brother called me color struck because I wasn't interested in dating him. His family felt the same way. I always felt like my sisters, my counterparts, are absolutely beautiful, but they always told me how stuck up and conceited I was. So I need y'all to teach me something to help me to know that I didn't know, so I could possibly see some things that I didn't see before or understand before.
Yeah. You know what, Sherry, this may kind of be a reflection of a conversation I had with one of my dearest friends, Vera Moore of Vera Moore Cosmetics, last night. She called me just to check on me, and we started talking about the dynamics of how we've gotten from where we were to where we are. And one of the things she said to me really struck me, and it's really true. A lot of people's perception is real to them. And the wording she gave me was different. Their perceptions are real to them, but they don't have to be real to us. You know what I'm saying? I think that too many of us have taken on the garbage, other people's garbage, and have allowed that garbage to just lay within the garden of our souls. And the more garbage that's dumped on the garden of our souls, the more difficult it is for us to become the dynamic human beings we were designed, created, and born into the world. Literally sent into the world by God to be.
I'm gonna receive that and accept that. But I'm gonna go back to my question.
I want to say something, Shirley.
I have Rayshawn.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something.
I'd really like them to help me with this.
I just want to say something because Sean said something that I grew up with because my mother was really dark. And like he said about when somebody said something about him being dark, my mother actually embraced her darkness because her nickname is Blackie. Everybody called her that. She was very confident in her dark skin. She raised us to not feel no way about our color, no matter who it was, it don't matter.
Right.
You know, you dark, you beautiful, it doesn't matter. She kind of explained things to us, but I grew up like, even though we had people in our family saying things before my mother passed, because she did pass when I was a teenager, but before she passed, she always made me and my sister feel like, before my youngest sister was born, that's the one that's light-skinned, but she always made us feel like we can walk outside and be confident in our dark skin. Because like I said, we saw, and we used to ask her like, why do people call you Black? She said, I'm dark skinned, I'm Black. And I let them call me Blackie because I'm cute. I'm still cute. And she really had a lot of confidence about her dark skin. She just didn't care. She thought when she walked in the room, you was gonna always know she was in the room. You're always gonna know she was around because she always made it known that she was in the room. And she was very, very comfortable in her skin. So I know for me, even though I had certain problems with light-skinned people, I've always had a certain confidence in my dark skin. You couldn't tell me nothing, especially when I was a teenager and when my mother was living. It was like, oh, please, you're not better than me. You might think you're better than me, but you're not.
Absolutely.
Your light skin don't mean nothing to me at all. You're not intimidating. It don't bother me because we already had this, talk in my house.
Right.
That's definitely a beautiful thing, because you did say that your daughters, that you are instilling the same kind of confidence in your girls.
Yeah. So.
Right.
So you instilled a different kind of confidence and a different kind of self-love. Right?
Yeah. So it was just for me growing up, like I said, I think it kind of changed for me when my mother did pass. But when she was around, that whole dark skin, light skin, you couldn't bring that around our household because we were taught to be comfortable in your skin no matter what.
And you know what? It really is about what perceptions you're willing to buy into. See, I was never willing to buy into the light skin, dark skin thing. And that was never, even when I was a younger woman, a teenager, I saw other people's issues and I didn't allow them to be part of who I am. And so it goes back to, what are you willing to perceive about yourself? And that is the key right there. I was never willing to buy into the dynamics of other people's thinking because it was not my thinking. I did not believe that. And so I was not willing to take that on and to be a part of or get caught in somebody else's web of iniquity. They have issues that they've not dealt with. I have spent many years since age 19 dealing with the issues of the dysfunction during my childhood, the colorism that came from, and it was never light-skinned people who called me these names. It was always dark-skinned people. But I realized that there was some pain and some hurt that was coming from them. But I didn't have to buy into it, and I never did. And so I think the healing process has to begin with us. What are you willing to buy into? What are you willing, what perceptions about us are we willing to take, embrace, and live by? I was never willing to take, embrace, or live by the issues of complexion, because for me, it was always about who you are. How did you relate to me, and how am I relating to you? And the sistership is all about recognizing our brilliance and allowing it to take flight. Okay? If we're willing to allow the perceptions of other people to destroy who we are, to stagnate our growth, then whose issue is that? Okay? I was never willing to do that. So I think it has to begin with us. What are we willing to perceive about ourselves? And we don't have to perceive anything that is not conducive to our overall well-being.
Well, let me ask you this too. There's we understand that there's strong people and there's weaker people.
Right.
And there's the world that's giving them the perception. What's the solution to that?
Well, I would say for me, I bought into it. So I wasn't as strong. Let me say that for me. I bought into it. I felt less than being in an environment where I didn't look like the majority of the people I grew up around. You know, and it was always, I was, look at, you know, and I became a fighter. I couldn't, like Sean, he said, you know, he was creative. I was like, I'm gonna kick your ass. Excuse me. That's what happened. So I became a fighter, and I'm gonna be tough, and I'm gonna have this other thing happening around me so that people know you can't pick on me, because I felt like I was being picked on. So I became very rough within my organic being. My organic being is not as hard as what I learned. I learned that was my technique to be a survivor in this skin. But I will say, for Lady U-Haul, I'm gonna say Lady U-Haul. Sometimes I'm gonna say Rayshawn. Sometimes I'm gonna say Lady U-Haul. Lady U-Haul, there's a confidence that happened because you own a company that is not even a Black woman thing. It's not a woman thing. It is a male thing. And you came in with this confidence. Whatever your journey was, the strength and the confidence to say, I'm going to open this type of company. So through your break, you know, things that might have tried to break you, it was a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
So what could you say? Where was this shit? How did you use the things that happened to you to push you to be this person that just defeating all odds?
Honestly, I did not want to open it. I'm gonna just be honest. I did not want to do it. My husband
says that. Everyone.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, I ain't gonna act like I just wanted this because I did not want it. Sherry knows this. I did not want it. But my husband is the one who pushed me into it. And I'm really good at it. I'm surprised that I'm good at it, but I am really good at it. And I didn't realize. I actually did not. I didn't even think, like, once I started doing it, I didn't even think about first Black woman in East Stroudsburg doing it first. I didn't think about any of that. I just thought about, this is something I'm doing. So I didn't care about that, because once I started doing it, and I know me, I know that when I do something, I just like to do it a certain way. It has to be a particular way. My customers have to be treated a particular way. So honestly, I never even thought about what it was. Like I've never, because like I said, when I was on the last show, this lady came in there and was like, "This is your business?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah, it is." And she was like, "Really?" Like she just couldn't believe it. Because she's like, first of all, I never saw a Black woman do it. And you never really see women do it. Like, not that it's theirs, like they're getting a paycheck from U-Haul. You never see that. It's always an employee working, like you never see that. And I say, yeah, but I have to be honest, I did not want to do it. And like I said, I didn't think of I never even thought about like just being a first Black person, even doing it around here. Never even thought about it.
But
Never
Sherry,
thought about it.
I remember when you put that question out on the first show for Colorism, and we talked about that before. And I think I was trying to process that question, and I'm not really sure that I can answer it because although I'm darker than you, I was considered light skinned. So I didn't see you because you're lighter than me. I didn't see you as being darker than me. I could in our community, it was okay, she's light skinned, so the light skinned girls always, so I fit into that category. I wasn't dark and I was in between. So it was kind of hard for me to answer that question. And I kept processing the question that you were asking. And I'm like, how do I answer that? So I think I need to dig into it deeper to see where I fit in that question, only because although I'm a darker hue, I was still considered the light-skinned chick in school. So I wasn't dark enough, I wasn't light enough, but I was in the middle. But to me, I perceived myself as light-skinned because it was always the lighter girls or the in-between hues that were, people thought we were better than everybody because of that, which we weren't. But to you, you perceived us as, with our hue, as we thought we were better than you, but we really were not better than you. I had friends of all colors. So when you ask that question, I'm still processing it because I see you as me. So I don't know.
But you don't have
that.
That's maybe for you to don't process it. And I say that to say because you're healthier than us.
I can't process
That's a
it.
healthy conversation that you just had about. I wish this is where we wanted to go. Where I don't see that. I never saw that. I didn't live that, and that's a beautiful piece. And that's why I said it would be great to have the colorist. If we do a 3,
and
which
see,
that's not doing it, but. Doing a colorism 3. So I'm saying all y'all want to
one more sip of this port wine and I may fall over the computer, but if I do, y'all just ignore it, okay?
I've seen you try to respond several times. Can you please respond?
Lady Wisdom, I want to know if the question that you had, were you looking for a solution question?
A solution answer.
A solution answer.
Yeah.
I was looking for a solution, but also a teaching moment, so that we talked on the first show about how people see light skin and the conception of like all light skinned females are conceited. All of them think they better than the other person. And to that effect, it was kind of like, so now those things that it's not so much true for all light skinned people. So can you tell me what it was that you grew up with, the things that you had, that the same thing? I thought dark skinned people were better than me. So, or they thought they were better than me, and they treated me, they didn't treat me very, very, very nice either.
Right. So again, like I said before, you got the reciprocal because you was around mostly dark skinned people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. So you're going to be the odd one out. So when you look at the whole of us being oppressed, we looked at you closer to the oppressor. So we saw you being that next level down And of course, they knew they pounded into our head that they're better than us.
Mhm.
So now we're gonna look at you as one step down better than them.
Mhm.
And we're gonna look up at you now as, okay, you think you better
Mhm.
because you close to that color. When you're in the colorism scheme of things.
Mhm. That's what I said
But
in the
it's just
first
a
show. Yeah.
self-reflection of
Mhm.
what people are thinking. Like you had a self-reflection of darker people thinking that they're better than you. We have a self-reflection of lighter people thinking we're better than them. That is the web that is pretty much drawn up.
Yeah, that
Again,
has been spun.
It's true.
right? But I mean, again, I like to talk about solutions
Right.
to we don't really concentrate on the solution part. And I think education and knowledge and science will answer all these particular questions because that's what helped me innately and then later on in my life understand what's going on. When you look at words like race, you take race and you get ratio. So that's a divide right there. Or you look at race and you say, well, what's a race? It's a competition. You know, so you say, oh, my race is. Okay, so that means you're on a team.
Mm-hmm.
Just automatically of how the brain thinks. Okay, so then now that divides the situation. So in science, anything that divides get weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So that's why the Willie Lynch, it worked on, okay, let me rape into this particular section of people and divide them because they're going to be weaker as a whole. Then the ratio of people, you have a ratio of this pigmentation, you have a ratio of this pigmentation, you have a ratio of this pigmentation. And then what they did was when you go into law, you go into not having a nationality. So I understand now it's now the understanding of what culture is and what's understanding of nationality. The culture that we all identify with is Black. That's the culture. That's what, just like there's a hip hop culture, there's a pop culture, there's always these different cultures, how we live, the different, how, you know, different things that how the way we do things. That's culture. But the nationality is not Black. I tell people, I teach my daughters, you are not Black. There's no nation of Black. There's no country called Blackadonia.
It's true.
So how can you, again, they took you and they named you to take you out of international law where you're not protected. Now let somebody that's Asian from China something happen over there. Quick, fast, in a hurry, they are settling that. Because why? Because there's going to be a war if they don't. Because of a nationality. So they say African American. Well, Africa has a lot of countries. They have a lot of nations. You can't just call yourself African and American. Either you are American or you not. So I think it's the education and how you look at the words and knowing that, again, through science, anything that's divided is weaker. Anything that's whole is stronger. And we just have to now work our children to understand, and they are, because we're vibrating at another rate right now. Our children are not us. They're like an iPhone, like the iPhone 10. They're uploading and downloading information quicker and faster than we were.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, there's a series of questions that are part of the question dialogue that I think that everybody needs to think about. Now, we don't have the answers for everybody because everybody is in different spaces and places. And the healing process for everyone is different because we've all gone through different things. And so you got to do the healing. And one of the questions one of the areas in all of these questions included questions about healing and solutions to colorism. And I like to read all of these questions, and they're not many, that we all need to ask ourselves and then take personal responsibility to becoming a part of the healing solutions. And they begin with, who's responsible for colorism healing? Who's responsible for breaking the cycle of colorism? What does it take to end colorism? What are some possible solutions to colorism? What can I do on a personal level to help end colorism? What can we do on a communal level to help end colorism? What work has already been done to help end colorism? What work is currently being done to help end colorism? How can we learn to love and appreciate our own skin, hair, and features while also loving or appreciating others? How can I have I personally addressed my own biases and issues with colorism so that I do not perpetuate colorism among others around me? Who does colorism get easier to deal with as we age? I think that particular question in itself, the answer is yes, if we're willing to do the healing work. When will colorism ever end, or will it? What other questions do you have about colorism that maybe we have not addressed, that you need to address? So these are all some questions we can begin to ask ourselves and answer very logically, honestly, and with a level of love and concern for humanity that's essential for us wiping out the colorism issue.
Amen. I definitely, my king had to walk away. But I'm thankful. I think one of the ways of working through colorism is shows like this, conversations like this, real people doing real things.
Absolutely.
So, sadly enough, in 2021, there are still firsts within brown people. Lady U-Haul is the first brown, I would probably say brown owned U-Haul moving storage company in East Stroudsburg. Not even just female, just in general. Bayro is the largest brown owned real estate company in Monroe County. The first large one. There have been others prior to me. Thank you to those that came before us, and I really appreciate that. But we are the largest. I'm the first secretary treasurer for the Pocono Mountain Association of Realtors. So there's still in such a now time, still first. We don't have Blackadonia, as Sean called it. We don't have the country of Blackadonia. But I will say this, and I did find it challenging or strange when you put in your Facebook or in your thing, and you put in different countries, a flag pops up. If you ever put in something in your thing, and then Ghana, flag pops up, or United States or USA, and it's flag pops up. But when you put in Africa, flag does not pop up. So something kind of piggybacking off of what Sean said is, again, African Americans, there is no flag attached to being an African American. You're either an American or somewhere in Africa being a continent. So
Right.
part of our challenge is the confusion of when people would say, what are you? You know, if you want to just say human, but we as a people don't really know where we are. We don't have the pride that goes along with where you're from, like our Irish counterparts or our Italian counterparts, to say even our Jewish, they will talk about the pain that they instilled and dealt with through the Holocaust. And there's a story and a history, and hold on to that. We are from this continent where the manifest was so confused and messed up that we don't know if we're from Tanzania, we're from Ghana, we're from this area, we don't know. And so because of that, we're lost. We are the lost children. We are that lost tribe, American brown people. We are the lost tribe. We don't know our native tongue. We don't know our native maybe religion or those pieces, or what our name was, or what our language was. Even if to say as a Spanish person, I don't speak Spanish. You have the luxury of saying, I don't speak Spanish. I don't even know if it was Swahili. I don't know what our native language, my native tongue was going to be organic to me. So I think there's so many to go back. And sorry, I do go in a circle sometimes. To go back to will colorism ever end? There's a lot of root work. Oh, look at the baby behind you, Sherry. There's a lot of root work that comes first. You know, there's a lot of root work that comes. And I think also for our youth, as my husband was saying, and as Lady U-Haul was saying, I think we all said, we not even just pointed out, as we all said, the youth has a different point of view.
Yes,
You
they
know,
do. And
you know, honestly, they might not even feel anything that we feeling. You know what I mean? But we never even talked about it, so we wouldn't even know.
Absolutely.
Because if you see them now, they got friends of all colors, or they don't really. So when, like, me and my sister was talking about that, saying the kids might not even feel nothing we feeling. You know, they might be good. They might be good, and we don't even know it. But it's still going to be a conversation that's, you know, we're going to have, because we just want to know. So just in case they are feeling the way, we can help them through it.
Absolutely. And I read an article recently that Stevie Wonder was moving back to Africa.
I heard that.
And you know what? I think, I'm not saying that we should all move back to Africa, although it might not be such a bad thing. But I think he feels a need to reconnect with who he really is. And I think that that's so important for all of us, to reconnect with who we truly are. And, you know, when I think about everything we've been talking about tonight, one of the things I can say is, other than my friends and people who were around me growing up, my teachers, Black and white, always told me, you are very intelligent. That's a process. They never talked about what I could not do or whatever. And it's funny, I ran into one of those teachers when Tiffany was a little girl at the food town next to our house. And I remember Miss Farr, because she used to always talk about how intelligent I was. My godmother used to talk about how intelligent I was. So this was the battle for me, because I couldn't see that, you know? And I had to deal with the issue of, okay, they say I'm intelligent, but what does that mean? You know? So the adults in my life always, and my godmother, whenever she needed something done, she would call me. And I think that had an effect rather on her daughters, because I was always perceived to be the smart one. So, you know, I think we have to deal with the images and the perceptions that we were indoctrinated into as young people. So it was never about my complexion. It was always trying to realize what they were saying to me. You are so intelligent, you're brilliant, you're this, you're that. And I could never see that or feel that. It took me years to do that. And once I was able to see what they were trying to tell me, it changed my whole life for the better. So anything anyone's been telling us that's negative, you have to sweep that out, that's the garbage, okay? Sweep out that garbage. Realize who you really are and embrace the wonderfulness about who we are. And let me just say, as people of color, right now, it's our time. So unless you understand it's your time and take advantage of that, you're going to get left behind. And that's what being left behind is all about. Fighting with who you really are as opposed to who other people have perceived you to be.
That show Left Behind, that show Left Behind was a great show. I don't know if everybody got the opportunity to see it, but I always talk about Left Behind. There's a couple of shows that I always watch, which one, we talked about it before, which was Planet of the Apes, and also Left Behind, which have deep meanings in it if you're paying attention to it, but you
absolutely does. Definitely does.
I guess this is going to be a special because we have gone over time, but we now see how deep we can go in this conversation of colorism. Because there's so much to it that it's ongoing and ongoing, and I'm going to love bringing the kids in, as Rayshawn says, as
part 3
from Baby Real Estate Part 3, we could bring them in because as I think about it, even Shabby, as being a mom, when I first came up here to East Stroudsburg, to the Poconos, I'm from Harlem, so I mean, I've been diverse because the schools that I've gone to, we've been, multicultural. My friends, I can go from, like, again, we said that, from the boardroom to wherever you need me to be, and I know how to operate in those segments when I'm there. Right. But one thing I did say to myself with my kids was, okay, I know my son, we've kind of lost us because we're so cultural that what I see up here is a lot of the color kids are blending in with all others. So we're becoming blended families, or blended, and we're losing who we are. If that makes sense? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're losing, what is color? What is, because now everybody is so blended. So I would love to see from the children's perspective what they're thinking and how, because I don't think they think like us, because
I don't think
so. We are in East.
I don't either.
They don't. I mean, they're all, they come in and out. My daughter's best friend, she's Caucasian. We come in and out, multicultural. I have friends with, so I think we kind of lose it. The colorism, we're still losing our background with each other because we're still multiplying in different colors.
But you know what, Tiffany? I think that there's so much dysfunction going on with respect to who we are, that some of us are seeking refuge in other cultures. Okay?
Woo! That's a show. That's Colorism 4.
A lot of us are seeking refuge. I always said the Mayans are not extinct. For survival purposes, they migrated into other cultures. So we have to understand what's going on right now and realize that, no, our children are not thinking like us. And guess what? They're absolutely right, because love has no color, okay? And we've got to understand that love is love. And if you can't love, there's always going to be a battle around the issue of love and the issue of self. So we've got to really begin to back up and look at this whole picture in such a way. I think our younger people have got it. A lot of us still haven't gotten it yet. because we've not done the healing work that's essential to help us get it. And as long as we don't do the healing work and look at who we are, where we are, why we are, there's always going to be the issue of doubt and regret with respect to who we are and our awesomeness. We are brilliant people, but we've been conditioned out of our brilliance for over 400 years. It's time to put a stop on that mindset that keeps us from realizing just how awesome we are and understanding that the power of God works in us, with us, for us, and through us for the greater good of all of us. So if people want to continue on with the racism and the bigotry and all of the craziness that comes from hate, then there's nothing we can do for those people. You know what? Healing is an individual process that we must all go through and grow through. And if we're not willing to do that, then, oh, well, I'm going to move on beyond you. We're not here to piggyback people and their craziness. We are here to bring God's love to the world. And that's what I choose to do.
As we say over Sistership, find your tribe and keep going. I know we're almost going on 2 hours. So
we're spending a lot of, and I'm so, this is, like I said, I'm always a fan. When I have the Oracle and Lady Wisdom, I become a fan of the show while I'm in the show, and I'm always thankful for this front row seat. What I will say is, just speaking one piece, my plan, my sister AJ, who is my sister twin, birthday twin, actress extraordinaire, if you've seen her in Baby Boy and House Party, we're both born January 2nd. So January 2nd, I didn't even tell Sean yet. January 2nd.
Capricorn. Here's to us.
Here's to us. She is an ambassador in Ghana. And some beautiful things that she is doing this last week, she had the students from Ghana that came to America and got their college degrees. They had basically a graduation for all of the brothers and sisters that came to United States. Awesome. And had a graduation for them in Ghana. So I plan on being in Africa for my birthday next year with my sister, my birthday sister, and experience that. So I would say maybe part of the healing, like our brothers and sisters who are Jewish and they make a pilgrimage to go back to the motherland for their religion, and our brothers and sisters of Islam that make a pilgrimage to go back to Mecca. Maybe as a people, just again, maybe religion is not the reason that binds us to go to certain places, but maybe just knowing that our roots come from Africa. Absolutely. We may not know which country in Africa, but maybe it might be something we should as a people graduate to go back and do that pilgrimage. Maybe go through that door, that again, understand what our ancestry situation was about. So right. I am planning on making that obviously with what the world is going through, however I can do that if this would be the time. I'm looking forward to that. That also being said, unlike my brother Stevie Wonder, Steveland Morris, I don't plan on staying forever because I feel like I feel like my ancestors have done a lot of work here, and I don't want to not take part of some of the fruit that we have worked towards creating here on this land as well. But definitely maybe part of the solution is having that pilgrimage.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
We're all, I think, trying to pull from our different journeys and our walk of life. But I am so thankful for this session. I can't say show, this session. This free therapy. And Lady U-Haul, Rayshawn, you have been such an inspiration. I mean, what you're saying about, again, last show to this show, reaching out to your family, having that conversation, now making it generational conversations, that took place within our household too. And you know, sometimes we don't know what the next person is going through. And I love, again, what Lady Wisdom was sharing. And again, if we can get through a show or two and come up with maybe just some more tools. Maybe it might be too much right now to come up with the answer. At least for my journey right now, I'm still grasping. But maybe tools to get closer to it. I'm already blessed to be here, but I know that would be like an aha moment. I'm gonna have an Oprah aha moment. So I want to think
of those tools maybe in the sistership group, like the solutions, or is that what we're talking about? The solutions, Sherry?
Whatever we can
do. Okay.
Well, you know what? All of these questions that I put out there, I'll also put on the group page, so that, you know, sometimes when you hear something, it's one thing, but when you see something, it's a different thing. It brings about a larger sense of understanding. So I'll type up all of these and put it into a file on the group so that people can slowly but surely begin to process what their role is in terminating this mindset and behavior that has worked so against us as a people for too long.
I want to just, again, we got to end, right? But
no, I'm like, okay, we can go on forever.
One of your questions, how can we learn to love and appreciate our own skin, hair, and features while also loving or appreciating others? I think if we can meditate, maybe if we could just meditate on loving.
Exactly. Loving everything about ourselves, our hair, our size,
loving all of it.
All of it. All of this. Okay?
Lady Wisdom, off of mute and give us some
no
feedback.
matter what side, because that's another topic. We sizerism.
Dog from Boston, he is having a fit in here.
That's all right. We love it. We need to get you in here, some feedback here. Let's go.
No, I mean, I agree. I think we have to instill self-love, self-respect, self-confidence, and just being who we are. But we can't teach what we don't know.
Absolutely.
And we always have to be mindful.
Yes.
Although we have strength, there are many that don't have the strength.
Right.
And they're looking for support. Right. So a part of us finding solutions, we probably need to help find solutions that will help those silent, those that won't speak or afraid to speak, that just don't know. I learned when Sean was speaking, I learned a lot just listening to Sean, because Sean said his question was, I think the last time we had a show, I was saying that we're not a race, we're humans. Right. And then when we learn, I can only teach you what by my experience. And so what I was asking was what was happening by someone else's experience, because I felt slighted. I felt slighted growing up, and I didn't want to keep feeling that way. I had an experience in my 40s where I was disrespected, like totally called out of my name, by both sides at one point or another. So I think we have to learn, we have to get information that we could share. I think that each time we speak, Mama C is very strong and driven in her who she is. And that's a beautiful thing. And she has accepted and refused to tolerate and deal with certain things, but everybody's not there yet. I speak for me. I can't speak for other people. I personally am not there yet because I'm still dealing with certain things that are happening to me on a daily basis. Have I tried to deal with my children? Have I tried to instill in my children are not children anymore. They are adults that have children. So when I'm around my family, I have to constantly be mindful of what I instilled. There was a point when we talk about 400 years of slavery, but there was a time when we looked at the movie Roots and we saw Kunta Kinte knowing who he was because it was instilled in him continuously it wasn't until it was beaten out of him that he become Toby. Like, there's a lot of us that have been beaten down where it has been taken away from us.
Yes.
We've been told one thing where as growing up, I never thought I was better than anybody, but that's what they were told. So they moved on that and they treated me a certain way because of that. So what I tried to do with mine was to make sure that I helped my kids not to identify me by color. Don't identify that little girl by her skin complexion. Don't identify that boy by his skin complexion. We identify them by clothes, hair color, what they might have had on their feet, the color of the glasses rims on their face. But again, this is such a huge topic that there's so many people that are hurting in it that we can find solutions, but we need to make sure that we get a consensus from those that are listening as to what it is that they're looking for solutions for. Because technically we're giving them solutions to what we're looking for.
Right.
And I might not be looking for the same thing that Mama C is looking for, or TiffanieRo, or Lady U-Haul, or Bling. I may not be looking for the same things. So, maybe we could find out in the sistership group, is there something that they would like us to do? The children coming in is going to be bomb. I don't care what anybody says. The youth is living a whole different life.
Whole different life.
Why the problem is happening in the world around us, because we're sharing clothes, music, conversation, laughter, friendship. We're grieving together. That's something that we, and my generation, which is you all, have not experienced because we were still being separated. Like, literally 50 years ago, we lived in Jim Crow.
Right.
Woo! Right? So,
listen, this is just a special. This is a special.
You can't even end the show.
Like, just these kids these days, like, that's why they're having so much trouble. Like, look at what's happening. We got to talk about the voters' rights. Like, this is not 50 years ago. This is something that's happening right now.
Right.
Right? So those are the kind of things. Colorism can't just disappear because we decide that we're going to heal from what we experienced 50 years ago.
True. It's true.
It is happening right now that there's things that, because of colorism, is alive. It's alive. Their goal, the goal right now of the enemy, and the enemy is anybody that is going contrary to love.
Ooh, drink water.
Divide.
Preach.
Because their feeling is to divide a house, you conquer it.
Like Sean said, exactly what he said was exactly right. It was exactly right. It's true.
So, and you know what? We're still living and we're still dealing with the traumas of our past. Our children are not dealing with that. Okay? So they are where they are with respect to their relationships being totally different from ours. And we have to respect that because you know what? They're in a whole different place and space than we are. And so the traumas of our past are not the traumas of their present. And so we have to understand that, accept that, and find out where they are and how we can help them to rise victorious in this life that they're living.
That's right. Because the phoenix always rises.
Yeah, because they're not experiencing, we're like the remnants of the past. that we have yet to get over. They are not even dealing with that at this particular point in their life. Their issues are different. We need to understand what their issues are now growing forward so that we can help rise them to new levels of understanding and victory.
But you also got to also include in it knowing your history, so you know not to go back to it.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
once we teach it, you cannot say, well, we don't want them, they're not experiencing it. They're not experiencing it all. They're not experiencing it to the same capacity, but they are experiencing it in a different manner. So how can they avoid being unheard, unrefined, unrefreshed? Because defunded, what a lot of people don't know, defunded means to reteach. We are not
Oh my God. This is Rayshawn, you see why I'm a fan, right?
No, I know. And the craziest thing is, you know what's so funny? I was looking at this commercial. I don't know if it's insurance or something. It's a commercial about like Black parents like talking to their kids about driving. And it goes, and one girl says to her mom, I'm good. Like, I know how to drive. You taught me well, whatever. And she was like, nothing's going to happen to me. And her mother said to her, you will be stopped by the cops. Like, you will. It might not happen now. It might not happen. But she said, I'm telling you, as a Black girl, you will be stopped by the cops. And a girl just could not, because it seems like the essence of the commercial was it was like just a multi-generational place where they lived. So the girl just felt like, what are you talking about? Like, my friends are this, we got all these people around here. I don't feel how you feel. Like, what are you talking about? So like Sherry said, it's just certain things that our kids have no idea about. They're going to find out about it eventually. You know what I mean? It's just right now, they're not in, feeling what we already know because they just haven't went through it yet.
Yeah.
So it is education, because eventually, unfortunately for them, they're going to go through something, and that's unfortunate, but they're going to go through something, and it's going to have to do with their color.
And growth is essential.
Yeah. Because I have a 13-year-old. I have a 13-year-old, and my 13-year-old says to me all the time, a lot of times when you call, it has something to do with color. Why do you always talk like that? And I'm like, babe, I can't explain. This is something I could just tell you, like Sherry said, I could tell you what I've been through, but I can't explain what you're going to go through because I don't know what you're going to go through. Unfortunately, because of your skin color, I know you're going to go through something, but I can't say what it's going to be because the world is changing so fast. So it's just going to be in a different way, but you're going to experience something because of your color. You're going to.
And like I said, it's our time.
Wrap her head around this. She cannot. Still, she always says that to me. What are you talking about? Color don't got nothing to do with nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Don't know. But you're right, because you know what? I think as a whole, like my daughters, I always say, if you knew me, you know I had a type. I think probably us of a certain age, we had a type. Like,
yes.
Chocolate. And you saw my king in and out. You know what my thing looked like. But I always mess with my girls. I said, y'all ain't got no type. Like, it's just whatever. Yeah. I'll just be like, whatever.
It's true.
Walk in the mall and say, she would like, my daughter would like him. It's just like, they like whatever.
Right.
So
it's true.
Their process is so different. However, what Rayshawn shared, which is real, you still saw George Floyd.
Right.
Still seeing Trayvon Martin.
Right.
Sandra Bland.
Right.
So as a collective, I think what has happened that they can see what works for them and what doesn't, and they may have a lot more confidence because that crew is like that. I ain't trying to get the grade. I don't feel the need to do all that.
Right.
They are still dealing with certain powers that be.
Right.
That is, and we have a lot more PTSD to their situation.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And you know what, Tiffany, they have to recognize that we are the ancestors. We may not be dead yet, but we have wisdom that they can take and learn from and grow with. And I remember my sisters telling me something that had I listened to them way back when, they were 6 and 7 years older than me. I didn't think they knew what the hell they was talking about. But you have to also recognize that the human brain doesn't fully mature until age 25. So they can't even conceptualize what we're trying to say to them. One day they'll say, you know what, now I understand. I didn't get it before, but now I got it.
Right.
And until they do, we just have to do what we can to help plant the seeds of enrichment that will take them to that better place in space as they continue their journey through this human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Human.
Ladies,
Because when they go through it, they realize it.
And it is rolling on a
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of us, because you are a part of us.
Thank you.
Please tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on the wait. Oh, it's 5159. I know it's a lot going on. 5159 Milford Road in East Stroudsburg. The business is called 209 Motors. So if you need to, and we are an authorized U-Haul dealership.
All right. We're rolling and growing and evolving.
Amen.
On that note,
when we get
we are going to close out with the new song from the Brothership, because we had one of our brotherships in the background, the King to Tiffany Rowe, Bayrow Real Estate. And I just want to say one thing is that we did make history today again in St. Louis with the first Black female mayor of St. Louis. And
all right. It's our time. All right. It's our time. And we're growing. We can either do it singularly or collectively. I choose collective growth.
And what she said this morning, like, warmed my heart, and I had to watch, but she said her son said to her, Mommy, now I can be safe because you are here. And you know, you do the right thing to help so that we can be on the streets as young Black men and not killed by the police. Told my heart to hear that. That's wow. And this was on the news this morning. So before we go, and I'm going to close us out with our new song. And this is a 2-hour special because we've been on here, but we now see that we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And as Sherry said, we're going to bring the children on because we have to hear from their side too, not just ours. How do we help them if we don't know what they're thinking? So we can go on and on talking about what we feel, but it really begins with our kids. They're number one. Mm-hmm. All right. So on that
love you, ladies.
Thank you. Good night. So much. I love you, Lady Wisdom, Oracle, Lady U-Haul, Bling, and I'm your girl, TiffanieRo.info, and this was your sister.
All right.
It's rich.
The brothership is coming real soon.
We got this on the brothership united. Sistership, we got this on the brothership united. Sistership, bye-bye. On the brothership united. Sistership.
The bill for a minute.
What's up?
Matter of fact, you could chill for a minute. I need a platform where we could talk about some other shit. Get jewels for some other men. I'm looking for a brothership.
Get it right, this real life. We tired of struggling. Airtight on this shot, no more dysfunction. And we reeling in the sunken, and we bringing in our brother.